when you're on the budget and you at your daughter's wedding, get you a case of Dr. Thunder.
Trade show displays, step and repeat backdrops, pull-up banner stands, table throws, all your large printing needs. Call Display J at 301-378-9363. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
DisplayJ.com.
This is the Salty Sam Show, where we talk about all the topics of what's going on in today's America in the saltiest fashion. We have the vent hotline in the bottom. We always take phone calls, anonymously, of course, and you're allowed to vent anything that you feel, because in this show, in the Salty Sam Show, we believe in an unfiltered expression, and we believe in free speech and being able to say whatever it is that you want to say. So joining us, growing the Salty Sam Show, is actually giving you a voice and bringing power back to the American people and to the entire world of self-expression. Thank you, and I hope to see you on the show. Hope to hear from you.
People back together having fun.
Welcome to MD Arsenals. Stop by our store located in Hagerstown, Maryland, right off the I-70. Our range and shop hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 8, and Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 7. To find out more about our upcoming classes and other services, please visit our website, www.mdarsenal.com. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and watch for the upcoming MD Arsenal podcast.
This is the Podcast Pit, brought to you by Ben Media.
All
right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday morning, and you know what that time is. It is time to talk some wrestling. This is the podcast pit. I am your host, former professional wrestler, promoter of Voltage Wrestling, jack of all trades, master of what? I do not know, Mike Rennes, alongside my broadcast partner, Rennes the Menace, Carball. How you doing, Rennes?
I'm not too bad, Mike. I'm in rare form today. I came in here ripping and roaring, but, I'm here.
Yeah,
We're here to talk some wrestling.
You were in a mood this morning, man. Did you not get your coffee?
I didn't know. I have actually not had coffee.
What are you doing?
Man, I was working.
Should have gone to Charlie and Sam's upstairs, man.
There was a line up there, man.
There's a line?
Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 people, and I was like, I'll deal.
You're like,
I'll deal.
I suppose I'll be a grump for a couple of minutes. Oh, nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about this week. Blood and guts. We've got Monday Night Raw stuff to talk about. We've got fans to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
We've got fans to talk about this week.
It's probably going to be the biggest thing we talk about.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be...
It's going to be a time. Going to be a time.
It is going to be a time. A time will be had here on the podcast pit. I want to get the bills paid and out of the way right from the beginning. Our show is brought to you by the good folks at DisplayJ.com, your number one source for pull-up banner stands, printed table throws, step and repeat backdrops, literature racks, banners of any size for any event or occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, get these banners. Gimmick tables are coming back. We've got other stuff. We've got signage galore. We've got a fast turnaround time from the good folks at DisplayJ.com. You've got a guy in DisplayJ.com.
Nailed it.
Man.
Got an old Dr. Thunder this morning, huh?
I know. I did not get a chance to go to the liquor locker to get myself a fine Pilsner.
Oh, my goodness. Because the good folks of our show is also brought to you by the good folks at the liquor locker.
How about it? Nice little seg there.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for all your liquor, beer, wine, spirits, cigar needs, visit our friends on Dual Highway over at the Liquor Locker. It's a sponsor of the show, a great local business, and it has literally anything you could want. And if they don't have it, they will order it for you.
And for you folks that like your local brews, your Cushwa breweries, homemade breweries,
Antietam
Antietam Brewery, please get to the Liquor Locker. They've got it all. You can go ahead and buy it there. Support your local breweries right at the Liquor Locker.
Bills paid. Let's get to some news.
All right, big news this week. MJF was a made man this week.
Yeah.
MJF, the made man of professional wrestling this week.
He just continues to be one of the greatest heels in the industry right now. I mean, and the kid is just like, what? He's like 24, 25. Like, he's like my age, and he's doing things that people who'd been in the business for decades couldn't imagine doing. They couldn't get that type of heat.
No, the type of heat this man's getting in. I mean, after that performance in the Blood and Guts match this week, you got to give it up to your boy.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to give it up to your boy.
The whole AEW was great this week. This week it pulled 1.09 million viewers, which shows that last week's lower number was due to several reasons. We had the State of the Union, all that good stuff. But it was also, for the first time ever, and TNT is really touting this, it was the number one show on cable.
The number one show on cable.
That's a huge
sink in.
That's a huge feather in their cap.
Huge feather in their cap. That also gives them staying power because they do have competition coming up for that time slot in the next several weeks and months here. So getting that number one spot on cable was a huge win for them.
And I think after this, I don't know if we really have to worry about that time slot anymore because out of the last 4 weeks unopposed, only 1 week has been below 1 million, and that was because of other things going on.
Yeah.
They're
consistently winning in their time slot, putting together numbers in their time slot on a Wednesday night. There's something to be said about that. Not to mention, I mean, the competition for that slot, it's sports right now.
Right.
And, fortunately, the good folks at Warner Media have TBS for that sort of thing. Putting sports on TBS.
Yep, you're going to lose your King of Queens reruns and your stuff like that. But
but TBS is a good thing for them because TBS has just as big of a reach as TNT.
Right.
So
Yeah, but while it was another great episode of Dynamite, it was not without its controversy.
oh my God.
So for those of you who did not tune in, I'm sure you saw this week's episode was titled Blood and Guts. There was a lot of blood spilled pretty much the whole episode. I mean,
yeah.
The whole thing, but especially the blood and guts match. The first thing I'm going to get to is the controversy with the blood. I read a report this week, I believe it was from Fightful Select, that the title said, some people find blood and guts bad for the business. And then I went on to read the article, and I find that the people who thought that were the people within WWE. They said it was a bad look for the business. And to that I say, bullshit. Look in the mirror. You know what's what is a bad look for the business is your 3-hour flagship show on Monday night you call Raw. It is absolutely horrible. You want to know what looks bad for the business? Is a 3-hour pile of shit that you put on TV every Monday night. Sorry, that's what it is. It is almost unwatchable.
I like watching SmackDown.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's what's unfortunate. People see that Monday Night Raw, the first show of the week, the first wrestling show of the week, is bad. And then they don't want to tune in to NXT and SmackDown. I'm sorry. But that's the thing. NXT
I want to interject here and say this too. Vince McMahon has always said the business is the way it is because I made it that way.
Well,
and I'm going to be straight up honest with you. Like when you hear people within WWE think this blood and guts is bad for the business, I'll be honest with you. Bleeding all over the place in hardcore wrestling, it's not my cup of coffee. However, the reason people are saying this is because they're promoting a PG product and they're selling a PG product, and they know a PG product can't cater or can't compete with a product that is catered towards that 18 to 24 male demographic.
Yeah,
it can't compete. That is the strongest. That's a demographic that everybody fights for.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, and like I said, we do. I will say we bash WWE a good bit, but I'm going to put over NXT and SmackDown. This week we're really good.
Yeah.
NXT and SmackDown have been some of the more consistent shows on television. I still think SmackDown is the consistently best wrestling show on every week. Now, AEW has the last 4 weeks have been very consistently good. And that's just not because of the number. The numbers don't matter at that point. It's just they are being put together in a really good fashion.
As far as story building, this is one of AEW's better weeks. And like from top to bottom, I had this conversation with our engineer today, Kyle Reyes, earlier this week. One of the big things that I saw from this episode, everything on the show built a story. There wasn't a throwaway, which you can't have that every week.
No.
Some week you just got to have some wrestling matches in between the key points that you want to get across. However, this week, the opening contest, that was the SCU and the Young Bucks. Am I correct?
Yes.
That was the four-way tag with the four-way tag, wasn't it? With SCU.
Man, that was 4 days ago.
I know.
I barely know it's South.
No, but they did a good job of getting SCU ready to face the Young Bucks at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
You had the opener was the tag match with Kenny Omega and Knock. So you had that opener with Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa versus Kingston and
Moxley. A great match.
A great match, and they're continuing to build that story.
Yes.
Even the enhancement match with Britt Baker versus the person I can't even remember this week. They did that. They got Britt Baker out in front of a camera, and she's still out there showing everybody.
And they're building towards everything is building towards Double or Nothing. It's all building towards Double or Nothing. Like we're getting Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida at at Double or Nothing. You know, we're getting all these matches at Double or Nothing. But so the blood controversy we've touched on. The second one, and this is where we're both probably going to go off on this. We talked about we're going to go off on the fans.
I got a wrestler to go off on too, by the way.
Oh, perfect. So at the end of the Blood and Guts, or towards the end of it, MJF pushed Jericho off the structure. Jericho took the fall into a crash pad. It looked a little cheesy because of the angle. I really think if at a different camera, at a far camera angle, it would have sold really well.
Yeah, they would have had the camera up on the. They would have shot from the camera up off on the top of the cage.
Yes,
yeah.
Or even a landscape shot farther out. But the fans went off. They wanted him to take a 15-foot fall onto concrete. The man is 51 years old, and then a year ago almost. They got upset when Matt Hardy took a 10-foot fall, who's younger than Chris Jericho, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And they got upset because it was an unprotected fall. You cannot have the people who complained about this are going to complain about everything. The internet wrestling community is some of the most toxic voices. They are the ones who make it hard to watch anything. They would complain about anything.
No, and I have another chat that I'm in where somebody crapped on AEW's production. AEW doesn't have the best production. They're not the best production in wrestling.
Sure.
Obviously.
At least they're not camera cutting every 5 seconds.
But obviously, if you're going to go with production, I mean, WWE, even with the wacky camera angles, their production.
Production values are.
It's top notch.
Yeah.
We're going back to a regular wrestling production. Sorry,
Tony, I'll get there.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm at a point, I'm at a point right now where when people talk about production value and shit, it's people. Anyone that's shitting on their production value is people that clearly haven't worked in production. I've had one person that's worked on a national wrestling production that has said anything negative about their production, and he's had good points to make about this.
Sure.
However, when you get fans talking about this, somebody who's clearly never operated a camera, clearly never that doesn't understand how all this works,
right?
It's a little bit different,
right?
It kind of just irks you because it's like, could you do any better? Probably not,
Yeah. So, who's the wrestler you want to go off on?
Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah.
Bubba Ray Dudley.
Bully Ray.
With his comment on Michael Nakazawa carrying the Impact.
On Busted Open Radio on Thursday morning. I was actually listening.
Just, look, right now, and if
he doesn't understand why he made Nakazawa carry that title, he doesn't get the angle.
Yeah.
He's not understanding the
The
angle.
guy's dripping in gold. But he has so much gold that he can't carry it all, so he's got a lackey that walks around and carries it for him.
Well, it's not only that, it's that I think it's also, it's that, but it's also the fact that he put it on Nakazawa. He's the champion of Impact. The Impact people aren't the champion of Impact. So it shows that he's not taking that belt seriously, which I hope is part of it, to build the Impact roster to be like, oh, he's disrespecting our title, we're going to come get it back. I'm hoping somewhere that this leads to an Impact invasion of some sorts. They put a champion together who takes it to Kenny Omega. Eventually, someone's going to have to beat him for that title. Unfortunately, I don't think it's Rich Swann.
No, it's not going to be Rich Swann.
I don't know who it's going to be, though.
Oh, who knows? Samoa Joe might come back over there and make some noise. There's plenty of guys. It could be. Big Cass is over there now.
That's true. Yeah.
W. Morrissey, I think they're calling him.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but
I think Bully had it was a bad take that Bully had that morning. I don't think he quite, because that Impact. Probably somebody said that was okay.
Yeah.
You'd hope.
Well,
even if he's not,
their head booker is standing beside Kenny Omega.
Correct.
If there was a problem with it, don't you think their head booker would have said something before they went out in
Right.
the curtain? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it was an extremely ignorant comment that he. I think it was. I think it was a bad take. I can see where he's coming from, but I think it was a bad take. Tony Lowe asked, curious about your opinion about the first hour being taped and them offering refunds. So it's reportedly said that when the tickets for Blood and Guts went out, they were told specifically that the first hour would be taped.
Yeah.
And there were some fans who were not aware of this, but in good faith, Tony Khan still refunded them.
Yeah.
I mean that's
what do you want to do? Like, yeah,
that's a class act if you ask me. If it were McMahon,
you
wouldn't have gotten your money back.
You would have got your money back.
No. So I understand where some of the
probably
people
would have asked you for more money.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
To be honest with you, but
they were offered the refund. They were given a refund, even though they were told the first hour will be taped. That's kind of on them. But good on AEW for, following through, keeping the fans happy. We were talking about, maybe you said something about Samoa Joe showing up. Well, there's been a couple returns this week and a couple rumors this week. Ava Marie is back with Raw. See, I knew you were going to do that. Listen, I am a fan of Ava Marie. I am.
okay.
It has been 7 or 8 years since she's been on WWE television. And she is in better shape now. She is in better shape than most of that locker room. Period.
No.
I am cautiously optimistic. I'm irritated once again at the fans. Today you're getting all my opinions. I don't really give a damn. I am irritated at the fans who, she went away for 7 or 8 years and is coming back, and they equate what she's going to do with what she did. I hope it's not that way. I hope she comes in and really lights up the division.
I hope she comes in and kills it, but I know how WWE is, and they're going to try to make her annoying on purpose.
Oh, yeah. This is 100% due to get heat and eyes on the product. I am cautiously optimistic with this. I could actually, honestly, I think the best move with her, now thinking about it, would to partner her with Carmella and put them in a tag team and make them a viable tag team for those championships. I think those two would work really well together.
Her and Carmella?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
The gimmicks would just really work well together, because I think they've kind of dropped the ball with Carmella a little bit. I like Mella. Mella is money. And I think the whole Reginald storyline, I didn't understand why he was there in the first place, and now he's with Nia Jax or whatever's going on there. Whatever. I think if you put Ava Marie with Carmella...
I mean, this is no bias,
good.
Honestly. I think she worked better when she had Ellsworth there. That's all bias aside.
Sure.
All bias aside, I think that angle worked better because people kind of got it.
The only thing with Ellsworth for me was when he technically won the very first women's Money in the Bank. I think that was that was poor booking, in my opinion. First ever women's Money in the Bank, and you have a man win it.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I'm just saying.
It's heat. Yeah,
it doesn't. That's
it's heat.
Right? Oh yeah, it's heat. I just think it was.
He still gets hell for that.
Yeah, I bet he does.
Yeah, he still gets hell for it. I mean,
whatever. It's just how. Yeah, whatever. But let's see. Another big one this week. Daniel Bryan's contract has expired.
I was waiting for the seg back over.
Yep,
but you got to it.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan's contract has expired, and this opens up all sorts of interesting possibilities. Yeah. I'm going to say this just like I said with Samoa Joe a couple of weeks ago when it was found out that he was released.
ROH.
If any company could benefit off of getting Daniel Bryan back in the fold, it is Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor needs that one guy to just they're still, I mean, them being the best wrestling in the world, it's always been that way.
Right.
In my opinion. It's just they've had guys come in that have brought eyes to the product, and then guys leave that have taken those eyes with them. Them losing Cody and the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page and just getting gutted a couple of years ago.
Right.
whether anybody wants to admit it or not, that hurt them. It hurt them tremendously going into the pandemic. I mean, people kind of forget about that.
Right.
But when crowds come back, they need that person. They need that person to get eyes on the product, and I think Daniel Bryan or Samoa Joe would be the right guys to do that.
Yeah, I found it interesting. I think it was yesterday that Kenny Omega shared on or retweeted or something a short video of him, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You've got, like we say this week after week, you have to realize the talent that Ring of Honor that has come through Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it's literally like
the who's who
yeah,
of this generation of wrestling.
It used to be like Internet Darling University, like
right.
But I mean, rightfully so. It's like these guys are just really good at what they do.
And a bunch of people have been speculating, where's Daniel Bryan going? Where's Daniel Bryan going? You know what?
It's rare to see somebody come out of that company and not make money on the big stage.
Yeah. My theory, I think Daniel Bryan just wants to be at home with his kids and his wife for a little while.
Yeah.
I know she just had a baby a couple months ago.
Well, yeah, he's got to know.
He's going to take some. No, he does not.
Actually, yeah,
does he?
Yeah, he's got to.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was the same with Moxley, how he just let his contract expire and he could show up anywhere at any time. I thought that was the same with Bryan because it expired.
No, he definitely has a non-compete, and there's been a couple of people that have reported that this week.
Gotcha.
But once that non-compete expires, I mean, you figure like he's just had a kid. He wants to get back out there on a limited schedule and just wrestle who he wants to wrestle. I applaud him for that. And honestly, if we're talking perfect scenario about where he's going to go with the loosest working relationship, I'd say AEW would probably be the best bet because you're going to be able to go work Impact. You're going to be able to go work.
He talked about wanting to work other places recently in an interview. I believe it was the one with Robbie Fox of Barstool Sports. He talked about it.
You're going to be able to go work New Japan
on
that deal.
Yep.
Having said that also, I mean, I know ROH has a pretty good working relationship with New Japan, and did, if I'm not mistaken, I'm assuming that's still the case.
Yeah.
Having him go to ROH, if he wants to, do ROH in New Japan, that's a possibility. I think as far as like getting to wrestle the widest array of talent, AEW is probably the place to go for that. But ROH really, I can't stress this enough, ROH could use that guy.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, still, even Daniel Bryan, all of his accolades in WWE, all of them aside, that guy's an ROH wrestler. I've never thought of him as anything else as a Ring of Honor guy.
Right. And I think as much as you and I can sit here and speculate about where we want him to go, I have a feeling he's just going to end up re-signing with the WWE. I do. I hope I'm wrong because I hope
I'm wrong too.
I hope
you're wrong too. I mean,
I'd really like to see him in other places and wrestle some of these other guys, and
I think
freelance.
I think there is a lot of money to be made for him outside of the WWE.
I agree. Yeah,
and the perfect time. The pandemic is almost over.
Well, he's like he apparently is like Moxley in the fact that he's very frugal.
Yeah,
and he's like squirreled. He probably doesn't have to work anymore.
No, he never has.
And I've heard that about Moxley too. Apparently, John.
It's like
Moxley
me when all this Dogecoin goes up.
Oh yeah,
I'm never gonna have to work again.
Yeah, how many you got? Like 8 and 7.
Yeah.
What do you got? $80 out of it or so far?
I
or
got
what?
$50 in Dogecoin. I'm going to the moon, baby.
Just like Cameron. Oh man, Cameron. Have you watched NXT? Do you know Cameron Grimes?
No, I haven't. I've heard.
Cameron to the moon, baby. He is the funniest. They had a segment with him and Ted DiBiase.
Oh man,
he had a watch. He's like, it's the best watch. Blah blah blah. He's like, and then another watch comes in. He's like, does it look? But is it $1 million watch? And he turns around, so Ted DiBiase, doing just a real quick segment, man. That leads us to NXT. NXT had once again another good show. $761 million, which was up from last week's show. And that there was two big segments. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae are the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Say that 8 times fast. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And I like Shotzi Blackheart a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Ember Moon yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because she has been very
She
on and off. She got
been
injured.
injury prone?
Yeah, she's been a little injury prone. So we haven't
I can see that.
we haven't gotten a lot of her yet.
She is the most unique looking women's wrestler.
Yeah.
Ember Moon, like she's got a unique look. I remember when she first got signed. There used to be this valet for Kendra Kaimari around here named Yana Lang. I swore that was Yana Lang.
Really?
Yeah, it looked exactly like her.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see where that tag team goes. I think Shotzi's gonna go off on her own after a little while soon again.
Yeah.
She's so good. She's so over. Like I'm glad to see Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae with the titles. I'm loving
I've always been a Candice LeRae fan.
Yeah, the two of them, Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory in this faction, which you are seeing more and more factions in NXT now. So the argument that AEW has too many factions is a load of bull. Another one formed just this week with Leon Ruff and Isaiah Swerve Scott and two other members formed a faction this week. So you're seeing more and more factions. So it enough with
to get back
the
to those
many.
1997 like the gang rules.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that like in the I always say pre-rat attitude era, but it was really the beginning of the attitude era.
Right, and then we had another really cool segment where Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly confronted Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete Dunne. Sorry, Kyle O'Reilly. He is going to beat you. I think Karrion Kross is going to be. He's going to be pushed to the moon in that. I
was going to say I'm a huge Kyle O'Reilly mark.
I am. I like Kyle O'Reilly.
If I could watch him kick people in the face for days.
Yeah. I like Kyle O'Reilly. I just think Karrion Kross is a monster.
Yeah.
He is a scary, 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 scary man. And I think that's I love that he's got Scarlet Bordeaux with him. I really hope they get her wrestling, though. I really hope they get her wrestling. Because she's also, we haven't seen it yet, she's also an absolutely incredible wrestler.
Is that the one? Is she in Scarlet Bordeaux?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
She is an absolutely...
Smoke show.
Yeah, the smoke show. I think that was another reason I liked her. Because, we went through this kind of sanitized women's wrestling. It was all family, which was fine, which was all that. It was great. But she was like, well, I'm gorgeous. I'm going to show it. I'm allowed to do it. It was the divas, but done right.
Yeah.
It was the diva gimmick, but done correctly and respectfully.
She's pretty damn good in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she's damn good in the ring.
And we also have, Frankie Monet just showed up. Formerly, she was in Impact. Oh, her name just escaped me. She's, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. But she
could have been that over if you forgot her.
No, shut up, man.
I mean,
it's going to bother me, so I'm going to look it up. But
you go look that up.
But she's in there now. She is just Taya Valkyrie.
Taya Valkyrie, there you go.
She is also an absolutely incredible wrestler. She carried the knockouts for a while. She was the knockouts champion before Deonna Purrazzo came in, and Deonna Purrazzo won the title, I believe, from her, and has held it since. That once again, with women's wrestling, the Harvard of women's wrestling.
The Harvard of women's wrestling. It's the truth.
I read actually. I gotta find the tweet. I read an interesting from What Culture Wrestling. I believe it was Adam Nicholas. No, it was Andy H. Murray. He put up a very interesting graphic I saw this week about the minutes per hour that different shows, there it is, different shows give to women, the women's wrestling. And the breakdown was this, in order of the week. Raw, 4 minutes and 23 seconds per hour to women's wrestling.
All right.
NXT, 6 minutes, 42 seconds, which is expected. They have a great women's division. Dynamite, 5 minutes, 29 seconds. Okay. Impact, 5 minutes, 21 seconds. SmackDown, 2 minutes and 56 seconds, which is unfortunate because they have Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks on that show.
What did AEW do?
Dynamite, 5 minutes and 29 seconds.
To women's wrestling.
Yeah. Per hour. Now,
this
is over.
Per hour.
This
okay.
is below, is the average number of minutes per hour dedicated to women's matches by every major American wrestling brand between January and April of this year, 2021.
Okay, so
Okay.
it's a month, like
Yes.
a couple month
yeah.
average.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see where that goes. It's not, like I said, it's unfortunate that SmackDown is not, pushing their women's division, their women's wrestling. It's actually kind of sobering to read that you can actually break down per minute. You can break down per hour how many minutes the women are being given on average.
Yeah. On one hand, like that analytical approach over time,
Sure.
I'm starting not to be a fan of analytics because I think we're paying way too much attention to them in times.
Mm-hmm. I found it very interesting. Yeah. I found it,
Yeah, like there's weeks where you're going to get more time than others, and I know it's always going to average out to.
Sure.
It's going to average out to not be what you expect it to be.
Yeah.
However, I mean, considering that 2 years ago we were pushing this whole women's revolution,
right? Give
now
us Evolution 2, damn it! I want Evolution again. I loved that pay-per-view.
I don't think you're going to get it under this new,
No.
I don't know, the new administration kind of turnover in WWE. I don't think you're going to get it.
Which is unfortunate because their women's division, like we've said, their women's division is a feather in their cap. No one else does it better.
I'll be honest with you. I think they should dedicate an hour show a week to just the women's.
I read this week. Well, I mean, Thunder Rosa has Warrior Wrestling, not Warrior Wrestling, Mission Pro Wrestling, which is all women's wrestling. That's her wrestling promotion. I've heard Mickie James there are rumors that she is going to try and start her own women's wrestling promotion.
Hell, the one guy I've had in here a couple of times, Mike Valentine,
Yep.
he's got Fury Pro Wrestling down in D.C., and he kind of flips it on his ear. You get the women coming in, and then the men are like the managers, and the seconds, which it's kind of an interesting take on things, like because you'll have like one of the guys we have on the show, Victor Benjamin, manages his
Lady Frost.
Lady Frost down that way, and it's a totally different dynamic.
Yeah,
I like that. I
It's different.
like different.
Yeah.
I like different.
And here's the thing, I've always said, even like with movies, TV, music, video games, whatever, if you can give me an interesting concept and lean into that concept 100%, I'm on board.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, ugly. I will be on board because you've given me something different and you buy into your own product.
Hold on.
Yes, Mike Fox. That is why Dave LaGreca went to Mission Pro Wrestling and got whooped up on.
Your dad. I'm not saying it on the
Nope,
air.
can't say it on the. It is funny, but
Yeah, Tony Lowe, Shimmer's
Yep.
been around. Dave Prazak, probably one of the pioneers of doing the all women's wrestling promotions, and done a great job of doing so.
yeah, Mike Fox must be why Dave LaGreca went to Mission Pro Wrestling last. Yes, over the last couple weeks, and I think probably over a month, he and Thunder Rosa have been feuding over Dave LaGreca's love of Britt Baker, who, there's a feud there with Thunder Rosa. So he went down to wrestle Thunder Rosa, and man, she beat the snot out of him. It was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and he's like, it's not over. I loved it. Speaking of women's wrestling, there have been two. This is kind of the week of signings and non-signings and everything. There is now a report coming out that Tessa Blanchard is probably not going to AEW. There's still, it's unfortunate, but there's still a lot of issues people have with her. I'm pretty sure Big Swole and her have heat, like legitimate heat, and I don't think she's the only one in that company who has legit heat with her.
She's got a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah, she
all.
is really good. Don't get me wrong; she's a fantastic.
She should be the
talent.
face. She should be the face of some company right now.
Right,
but she's not because her biggest battle is herself.
Right. Yeah.
That's on what I've heard. I want to really stress that on what I have heard.
Right. Allegedly.
And what I have read, and what I've heard from people that I know, her biggest battle is herself.
Right.
Not my opinion.
Right.
Just
what you've
based
heard.
on what I'm basing my opinion based on what I've heard.
Jordan Grace signed a 2-year agreement with Impact, so she's there through 2023, which is great.
Thick mama pump, man.
Yeah. Her and Rachel Ellering just won the Knockouts Tag Team Championships 2 weeks ago, or wherever, I think not Bound for Glory. The most recent Impact or TNA pay-per-view. They will always be TNA for me.
Yeah, it's
always.
Yeah, I'm the
There's
same
rumor
way.
that they're actually thinking about bringing back that gimmick.
What, TNA?
Yeah, and switching back to the TNA.
Doing another rebrand. All right.
Yeah, another rebrand. Speaking of rebrands, I saw this week another report that Global Force Wrestling is apparently still coming back.
Well, how's that going to come back? Jeff Jarrett?
I don't know. I saw it, man. Saw a quote. I think it was Fightful Select, or it might have been Sean Ross Sapp who reported it. But
last I heard, Jarrett was working on expanding WWE's kind of footprint into India, because clearly he did a damn good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not even joking or saying that in jest. Like, he did a damn good job.
Yeah.
When he's working with TNA, like, I mean, they were doing better than TNA was in India.
Right.
You know, it's if only that wouldn't got killed, brother.
Right.
You know?
I've got two more things I want to talk about. Andrade has challenged Kenny Omega for the AAA title at Triple Mania this year.
Well, what happens if Alberto Del Rio beats him?
I don't know if that match is going to happen.
Do you think, who booked that, by the way?
Apparently, Andrade called him.
And called him and booked it?
Somebody, either Andrade or one of the two involved, called the other as soon as Andrade was released, and they booked the match. Rumor and allegedly. That is just what those are the rumors going around on the dirt sheets and on the Twitterverse. I don't think the match happens.
Well, no. I'm surprised you even booked the match.
His trial did get pushed back, though, so,
Well, yeah, I'm pushed back, but...
And the last thing I'm going to talk about before we're going to get into a little voltage stuff. Now, you didn't watch it, but the Dark Side of the Ring premiered, the third season premiered this week. The Brian Pillman episode is excellent. I at this point, I don't expect anything less out of these Dark Side of the Ring documentaries. I mean, it is 2 hours. You can find it on YouTube if you haven't been able to watch it yet, or you don't have Vice or whatever. Please go watch the Brian Pillman. The second hour is a tough watch about his after his car accident and his battle with apparently after his car accident, basically JR told him, like, unfortunately, you're never going to be able to do what you were doing again, and he would not accept it. He would not accept it at all, and that's what led him to the painkillers and stuff like that.
I know a lot of that is like he had the IV drip going into his leg there for a bit to feed medicine to his leg so it would heal, and he would
he would
unhook it to go to shows
and then hook it back in when he got home.
And it's just like, I mean, you saw this years before with Kerry Von Erich, because Kerry Von Erich had the same thing happen where they told him stay off, like when he had the motorcycle accident and his foot had to get reattached.
Right.
They're like, stay off your foot by all means necessary, and he started walking around the house and severed the nerves, and they had to amputate it.
Yeah, and he still wrestled.
I know
he stuffed the boot. He stuffed the boot, tied it. They talk about it in the book, The Squared Circle. They talk about the Von Erichs, and they talk about how he would stuff the boot and just tighten the piss out of it, so it would, and he'd wrestle on it. I mean,
Yeah, how are you not going to get addicted to drugs after doing that?
Right.
How, like, I don't see a scenario where you don't.
They did once again show that Vince McMahon is kind of the biggest POS in the world. In some cases, not always. How his widow was there talking, and they talked about the interview.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the first thing she said before the interview was, "I don't want to be asked about any drugs or painkillers or anything." And Vince was like, "Okay, we can do that." First question, and you can go watch this. And this interview is extremely hard to watch. It's uncomfortable. Still, it was uncomfortable then. It is way more uncomfortable now. But the first question that Vince asks was about painkillers. The first question, and if you watch it back, and she says it, I think she said it in the interview with Dark Side of the Ring, but they talk about how Vince that interview was not for the fans. That was Vince admonishing WWE of all issues with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got so angry. I mean, it was so sad. And then they go on to talk about like the life the kids had after he passed away, and how Brian Pillman Jr.'s stepfather was just an abusive asshole. I mean, physically, mentally. They talked about how he trained his dogs to keep Brian Jr. in his room when he would ground him. And if he tried to leave the room, the dogs would bark and bite him. It is so sad. But like all these really dark...
Jesus.
Yeah, all these really dark Side of the Ring episodes, they always do a really good job about finding the hope at the end. And the woman, their aunt,
yeah,
an angel. She kept the kids together. She made sure the kids got together at least once or twice a month. Because Brian had like 2 or 3 wives and girlfriends. Like he had 2 or 3 families that he provided for.
Yeah.
And then they talk about how Brian Jr. got into the wrestling business. And, it's so good, guys. I won't go into all the details, but it is eye-opening, and it is, once again, it's some of the best, it's the most well-done documentary ever.
Before we get into our Voltage stuff, speaking of Brian Pillman, I know fellow wrestling colleague Joe Dombrowski has released a documentary on the Brian Pillman Memorial Show.
Really?
I highly recommend. I'm getting a copy of it this week, if I can. I'm working on it, but I want to get a copy this week and do like kind of a review on it.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend getting this documentary. I'm sure there's going to be matches from the tournament on it.
Yeah.
One of the best memorial shows
Sure.
in the history of wrestling.
Yeah.
Every year. I mean, you're talking about in the heat of the Attitude Era, WWE guys, WCW guys, ECW guys all coming together to raise money for a cause and providing some really damn good matches. And as a result, the William Regal and Chris Benoit match that ended up getting William Regal a job back with WWE after he was kind of left on the scrap heap was one of these matches. If you haven't seen this match, I recommend watching it, especially if you are young in the professional wrestling business. This is a match that I don't care who you are, whether you're a novice or somebody starting out or somebody who's been in the business and knows a lot about it. This is a very, very good learning tool. As far as, what a professional wrestling match is supposed to look like. You watch that match, William Regal, Chris Benoit.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about the last thing I want to say about the Dark Side of the Ring, Cornette is on there, which love him, hate him, whatever. He is probably one of the most, he is the wrestling historian. He is the best wrestling historian that we have. The amount of his collection, his den, the amount of knowledge that he has about the history of professional wrestling, mostly in America, is incredible. But he talks about how he was the one to call the hotel to see where Brian was, because it was like, and he gets choked up. Like, he almost breaks on camera. I've never seen Cornette. We're so used to seeing this fiery, angry, joking Cornette on his podcast, and he was. It was wild. He was like, I didn't want to do it now. When he's talking, he's like, I didn't want to hear it then. I don't want to hear it now 23 years later. It was wild. The only other time I saw him in these documentaries get choked up like that was the Owen Hart episode.
Yeah.
You know, it just be, but, you know, of course. How could you
yeah,
not?
I mean, how could you not get choked up
Right.
by Owen, you know?
Yeah.
But man, Voltage Wrestling.
Yeah.
We've, again, June 5th, guys. June 5th, O'Connell's Pub, Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Ringside tickets are
they're
almost gone.
And when I say almost gone, I literally have 10 left. If you do not have a ringside seat, you need to get one this week because they will be gone.
Yeah.
They will be gone. Again, this is going to be this is the best wrestling event going down June 5th.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you. We're going to have top to bottom, just top level talent. This is the best of the best in area wrestling coming together.
Yeah. And
for
some
a single goal, and that is to win the Voltage Wrestling Grand Championship. We've got a couple of great matches coming up. We got a couple of talents that aren't even in the tournament. We saw Jacob Edwin this week, kind of stake his claim. He's a little salty about not being in the tournament.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be.
Blame him.
Yeah, there's always there's always opportunities.
Yeah, guys, the man's an intellectual. I will say that. The man's an intellectual. He's going to come in with a syllabus of wrestling knowledge. He's going to be teaching us a thing or two.
Do you remember, that remes me of the holds. Remember Jericho, the man of 1,000 holds, where he comes out with the old printer paper with the holds? What a great, Big Daddy C is preparing for Captain Decapitate. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but if my dad, Big Daddy C, Brian Carver on the chat, if he has his way, it may be one of the funniest things you'll ever see.
Okay.
Captain D may lose his mind.
Captain D, oh my God.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I always like to see Captain D lose his mind. I mean, he tore down our set.
Yeah.
He hit me with a conch shell.
Yeah.
I'm still a little salty about that.
He blocked me in that one day. I couldn't get to the studio.
I know. His boat's out in the parking lot.
Yeah, this guy.
Oh, my God.
I had a question this week. The Voltage Twitter, someone asked, are these the only matches on the card, the championship matches? The answer is no. There will be another match or two besides the championship matches, and those have not been announced yet. But please,
they will be. They will be.
ECW original, the Sandman is going to be there.
Yes, the Sandman is going to be signing autographs from 6:30 to 7:30, and you will see him make an appearance on the event. I promise you.
Yeah,
we've already heard. I know Eric Ecton's words have.
I know Eric. Kind of lit into him a little bit.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you need to go to our YouTube channel to see that. We'll post it on the Voltage Wrestling Facebook page here within the week.
Yeah,
but Eric Ecton had some words for him, and I know the Sandman has heard them, and needless to say, he's doing his 12-ounce curls, preparing.
I think it's kind of fitting that our first show is at a bar at O'Connell's Irish Pub, and we're bringing in the Sandman.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what better place? He's right at home, man. Right at home.
And people, the bar will be open.
The bar will
be open. That's part of the reason we wanted to do it there. Some of the best. I remember when they used to do it at the Hager Hall. One of the best things was you could go during the match, get a beer, sit down, and have
have
beer and wrestling go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Yep. Like Stockton and Malone.
Yep.
Like Jordan and Pippen. Beer and wrestling. The next great matchup.
Yeah.
But no, like we've had a lot of trash talk over the months. Like we had the stuff with Corey and Ben.
Yep.
And Corey was none too pleased. Still isn't.
Still isn't.
I hear stuff every week. I come in here for the Hub Show to help produce the Hub Show, and every week, some guy Ben been talking shit. We haven't,
Yeah, we got.
I know we got some time scheduled for Ben here in the near future. We're gonna be hearing from him again.
Yeah, and I know Victor Benjamin has been. Been very vocal about
everybody's kind of talking. Everybody's kind of going after Ben. They know, like the biggest man in the tournament.
Oh yeah.
Victor Benjamin again. He's got a first round matchup against Max Morrison, hardest head in the business.
And we posted on our Facebook and our Twitter this week that Superman punch.
Oh yeah.
The Superman punch versus just
guys,
the wild headbanger himself is going to be...
Avoid that. Anybody
at all costs.
Please avoid that. Dude, I got the goosebumps watching that just because I was just like, I don't want to be on the
I don't want to be able to receive.
Glad I'm not working that tournament.
That dude's a big dude too.
Yeah, dude is big.
I mean, from the pictures and everything, he looks big, but from that video, you really get the scope of how big the guy is.
Guy is ripped to shreds, like almost like Jason Raditz ripped.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Ben's got to go through that guy first.
Right. I mean,
and then like he got on the other side of the tournament. Like, I mean, Brandon Scott's no slouch either. Corey's got to go through that guy to get the.
I don't think anyone has an easy first round matchup. No one has it easy.
What's going on over here?
Is that Corey?
Oh Jesus! Sorry for the language, guys. It looks like we're going to get the surprise appearance by Corey Bush here.
Yeah, that's right. I made it.
You made it?
You made it?
Woke up.
That's right.
You woke up.
Here,
We got a rare morning appearance from Corey Bush.
Walked in the door hearing you talk about Ben, hearing you talk about the Savage Gentleman, and Ben is not the biggest guy in the tournament. He's the tallest guy in the tournament. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing?
I'm the biggest guy in the tournament. Well over 400 pounds. That's going to be the new Voltage Grand Champion because... And I admit I don't know much about the Savage Gentleman, but I believe I have held more heavyweight championships than anyone else in this tournament, and I believe it could be combined. And this will make, I believe, number 8.
Number 8.
And every other championship in this area has adorned my waist. And that is why and how I end up in the Voltage tournament, and it is why and how I will win the Voltage tournament.
But Corey, the guy is 7 foot tall, and I know you're going to bring up
6'12".
He's 6'12", 15% of a metric ton. But I know you're going to bring up Big Cass, and I know what you did against Big Cass.
Well, let's talk about that. I took a legit televised 7-footer to the edge of his abilities, and Steve Austin beat the Big Show. Hulk Hogan beat Andre the Giant. This kid
Are you saying you're Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan?
I'm saying compared to that kid I am. He's been in the ring all of 10 minutes, and I've been in the ring over 10 years. And everybody banking and everybody looking at him as the thing they have to overcome has finally got under my skin.
My dad's talking
Ben
shit
Bishop is not the guy to beat in this tournament. Corey Bush is. This is my area. This is my stretch of highway. This is my valley. When I want championships, I come in, I find the guy who has them, and I take them, and my track record says that's not a lie.
So it's not. I know you've held the ATCW championship. I know you've held the EPPW championship. Even
you want to keep going? We could go letters all day.
Yes, I mean there's a bunch of letters.
The letters don't matter. The marquee does, and the marquee more times than not has said Corey Bush versus the champion, and the champion loses. And this is an even better thing because you want to throw me a curveball. You're testing one of my most questioned skills.
Okay.
Does Corey have the endurance to win 3 matches in a row? Can Corey go through, honestly, one of the earliest roadblocks in my wrestling career was that me and Brandon Scott, for the league that we started for and trained for, opened 3 months worth of shows every show. Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. Before I was big enough to know what big was and before he was quick enough to know what quick was. So now, almost a decade later, we have upgraded our skills. Our characters are almost maxed out in the Avatar of Life. And now I'm going to get to prove to everybody what I've known the whole time. Doesn't matter how many times you can jump, roll, flip, or dive. When you get hit with the weight of the world, your skill set means nothing because you don't have enough air in your lungs to keep fighting.
So I think it's
don't
safe
you
to
think
say
you're taking
here.
like I got to be honest with you, like because I know your resume, I know you're the real deal, I know what you've done in this area. Now Brandon Scott, like you got to get through Brandon Scott.
That's what I was just going.
You've got to get through Brandon Scott, and I gave you the credit where credit is due. If you could keep this match slow, methodical, you're going to win this match. However, Brandon Scott has got the speed and the technical ability to withstand that. And if he can keep that match fast-paced, do you think you can beat Brandon Scott?
Technical ability almost to me sounds like planning. Like your technical ability is your way to plan your way around a match. And Mike Tyson said it before. I think even John Cena said it once upon a time.
Tim Simmons says you can go with anyone.
Everybody's got a plan until they get hit. And I know Brandon Scott's going to come in trying to work circles around me, and everybody may even think that's possible. But the best thing about wrestling is that it's not basketball, it's not baseball, it's not tennis. I don't have to wait and try to catch up to somebody in a foot race. Eventually, he's got to get close enough to hit me. And if that isn't coming from the top rope or from a missile in space, when he runs into me, he's going down, not me. And that is my entire strategy, and it has been for years. I'm either going to ram my body into you, whether in open space, in a corner, or on the ground, repeatedly, until you lose the will to fight.
We get the promoter ATCW, Tim Simmons, in here, and he says, Corey, you can go with anybody. You know, like there's people that know what you're capable of here. There's people that know what you're capable of. I'm saying right now, 3 matches. You're going to, like, presumably, you've got Brandon Scott. You've got
either
Miles Millennium or Sickened.
And then you've got to deal with either.
Then you got to go to the finals.
Raditz, Mad Max Morrison, Big Trouble Ben Bishop, or Victor Benjamin.
How are you not worried? How is the Purveyors of Voltage, are you not worried that you stack this perfectly for me to win? By accident, you've got Ben Bishop, Jason Raditz, Max Morrison, and the Savage Gentleman. I will not call him by his name until I meet him. I don't know him yet, and if he falls before he meets me, I don't need to know his name. But my point is, me, Brandon Scott, who you could say is a mid-tier cruiserweight heavyweight wrestler. He's won heavyweight championships, so he's earned the right to say he can compete on that level. Then Miles Millennium and Sickened, and that's my side of the tournament. I don't care how it goes. I don't have anybody standing at over 200, 250 to stand in my way. But if Ben Bishop makes it past Jason Raditz, which I've wrestled him, and that guy's strong enough to pick me up and throw me around a little bit, then you've got Max and the Savage Gentleman. Now, let's say that our wild card, the guy that none of us really know anything about, comes in and makes it past Max. And let's say somehow Ben gets over his inexperience, and honestly, I think Jason Raditz might be stronger. And he's got to get past that. So now, he's got to get past Jason Raditz, who's one of the biggest physical specimens in our area. Then he's either got to get past Max Morrison, who's got the hardest head, or the Savage Gentleman, who has the newest style that none of us are prepared for.
He's got fists like a small truck.
I have wrestled Brandon Scott before. I have wrestled Sickened before. Miles Millennium, no offense, but you do not scare me until I see the results of you getting to me. But maybe he's got it in him. And they're still all outsized and outmatched when they come with me in the tournament. So if I was going to have a rough day where my endurance was tested, I'm sorry, I think it's on the heavyweight side of the bracket, not in the kiddie pool. And Brandon Scott is going to be the first sacrifice on the altar of the championship reign that I will have. Because for years, people have asked us questions. For years, what's it going to be like when you guys, in your elevated forms, go head-to-head? Let's find out. Because you may be Mr. Excellent, Mr. Excellence. But to be excellent, you have to be able to breathe, and I stop people from doing that. If you can breathe, you can have the air taken out of you. And if that's possible, then I can do it, because it's what I do. I win championships. I start fights. I find reasons for people to talk about those fights, and when it's over, I have my hand raised.
All right.
That's how this works. That's what you brought me in for, and I'm more excited because I haven't heard a word of anybody worrying about me. I've seen Ben, and I've seen the Savage Gentleman, and I've seen them talking on Twitter, and I've seen the buzz going around. And what I haven't seen is anybody worried that Corey Bush is going to break some ribs and change some minds. And that's fine, because it has been long and far in between when I got a twinge that I might be an underdog in something.
That's a little
scary.
scary.
Do you think I'm an underdog?
That's a little scary.
Do you think I'm an underdog? I mean, let's face it. You guys put the tournament together. You want to see what a clash of real champions in this area is like. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you by using my first 2 rounds as lawn darts to get to the finals against whichever one of those heavyweights makes it in there with me. Those are warm-up rounds. I'm going to crush bodies like appetizers to a meal that the main course of is me crushing your 7-footer, crushing your hard-headed headbanger, crushing Mr. Ruthless, or crushing the Savage Gentleman. I'm making a statement that COVID's gone and Corey's back. So you guys have fun with the rest of the show.
Well then.
Corey Bush putting the whole Voltage roster
then,
on notice.
Outspoken as the last time. Man, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Today. I was not. Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Bush, can he win the Voltage Wrestling Grand Championship? We are going to find out June 5th, Martinsburg, West Virginia, O'Connell's Irish Pub, as Voltage Wrestling presents the shocking debut live.
Get there early.
Yes, please
get a drink.
Early.
Have a good time. We're gonna have music. We're gonna have photo ops. Come for the entertainment. Come for the entertainment and Sandman. Stay for the wrestling.
Yes, please stay for the wrestling. We are going to be excited to have you there. This is our big debut, June 5th, Martinsburg, West Virginia. And I do want to put this out there. I saw Tim Simmons in the chat. Next weekend is the big ATCW tournament.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and that is the big ATCW tournament next weekend. That is in memory of the late Pork Chop Johnson. Guys, if you're a fan of local wrestling, go out and support this tournament. Support the memory of Pork Chop Johnson. Support ATCW. Please get out there and support this tournament. And then support us a couple of weeks later in Martinsburg. Indie wrestling is back, ladies and gentlemen. We are happy to see it back. And I want to see everybody do well.
Yeah.
I want to see everybody do well.
I want to see everyone do well.
I'm not going to lie. I want to see
a rising tide is good for all ships.
I know the podcast pit is going to be there at least one of those nights.
Yeah.
And we'll provide some coverage of the event, but we hope to see you guys there. Come out and see the podcast pit. We will probably be there 14th, I believe.
Maybe the 15th, depending on I think I have a show the 14th. But
no, but
15th,
I know
15th is a big day for us. We've got the Baltimore Celeb Fest, and then maybe be down there at ATCW that evening. So
Absolutely.
We're got a busy day. Lots of wrestling, which I love.
Yes, Baltimore Celeb Fest in the afternoon in Millersville, Maryland. The ATCW tournament, night 2 of that evening. I will likely be at the ATCW tournament on night 1, and we hope to provide you some coverage, and we hope to see you guys out supporting indie wrestling and keeping a lot of dreams alive. My friend Prodigy PTV, the late Prodigy PTV, said this: every time that you purchase a ticket to an indie wrestling event, you are supporting a dream.
Yeah,
we thank you guys for supporting our dreams. For Mike Raddick and Rennes Carball, we will see you next week. Same podcast time, same podcast channel.
This is the Podcast Pit, brought to you by Ben Media.